What we lost when neighborhoods stopped knowing each other's names. There was a time when you could walk down your own street and greet every single person by name. Not because you had to. Because you actually knew them. Their kids played with your kids. Their dog barked at your mailman too. And if you needed a cup of sugar, or a ladder, or just someone to talk to, you didn't have to go far to find it. That world quietly disappeared, and most of us never noticed the exact moment it happened. Back then, neighbors weren't just people who lived nearby. They were part of your life. Mr. Thompson next door knew your father's work schedule. Mrs. Kelly across the street knew which kids belonged to which house, even in the dark, just by the sound of their bicycles. Everyone watched out for everyone else's children, whether they were asked to or not. Front porches were where life happened. People sat outside in the evenings, not to escape their homes, but to be part of the street. Conversations happened over fences, across driveways, between cars parked at the curb. You didn't need an invitation to talk to someone. You just needed to be outside at the same time they were. Children ran freely between yards because every parent on the block was, in some small way, everyone's parent. If you got hurt 3 houses down, someone's mother patched you up and walked you home. If you misbehaved anywhere on the street, word usually got back to your own parents before you did. Borrowing things was simply normal. A cup of flour. An extra chair for a party. Jumper cables on a cold morning. Nobody thought twice about knocking on a door because that door always opened. Summer evenings meant the whole street came alive. Kids playing until dark. Adults gathered in lawn chairs, talking about nothing in particular, laughing at things that weren't even that funny. Nobody was checking a phone. Nobody was rushing to be somewhere else. The neighborhood itself was the plan for the evening. When someone in the neighborhood struggled, everyone knew. If a father lost his job, casseroles appeared on the porch without anyone asking. If someone was sick, someone else mowed their lawn without being told to. Community wasn't a concept back then. It was simply how people lived. New families moving in were welcomed almost immediately. Someone brought over a pie. Someone else offered directions to the best grocery store. Within a week, the new family had a dozen names attached to friendly faces, and within a month, they were simply part of the street. Slowly, without anyone deciding it should happen, things began to change. Garages got bigger, and people started pulling straight into them instead of parking on the street and walking to their door. Fences got taller. Air conditioning meant fewer people needed to sit outside in the evening to cool off. Television, then computers, then phones, gave people reasons to stay inside instead of out on the porch. Families started moving more often for work, and staying only a few years before relocating again. The deep roots that once took a decade to grow no longer had time to take hold. Knowing a neighbor's name became less important when you assumed you'd be gone again soon anyway. Somewhere in that shift, something quiet was lost. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just slowly, house by house, street by street, until entire neighborhoods were filled with people who passed each other in driveways without saying more than a nod. Today, many people can tell you exactly what a stranger halfway across the world had for breakfast, thanks to a screen. But they can't tell you the name of the person living 2 doors down. That isn't meant as blame. Life simply changed. People are busier. Families are more spread out. Technology gives us connection in different forms, and those connections matter too. But there's a particular kind of safety, a particular kind of belonging, that came from knowing the people who lived closest to you. It meant your children had eyes watching out for them beyond just your own. It meant help was never more than a few houses away. It meant that even on your hardest days, you were never really alone, because someone nearby actually knew your name and would notice if something felt wrong. Maybe that's the real question worth asking today. Not whether we can go back to exactly how things were, because most of us probably can't. But whether we've let something valuable slip away simply because nobody was paying attention. A wave from the porch. A conversation over the fence. Learning the name of the family who just moved in instead of letting them stay strangers. These are small things, almost too small to notice. But they were the very things that once turned a street full of houses into an actual neighborhood. Perhaps it starts with something as simple as stepping outside, saying hello to someone you've never spoken to, and letting a street full of strangers slowly become a little more like the neighborhoods our grandparents once knew.